All right. So this meeting is mostly to get some clarification around what is the sequence of not improvement, but preparation that we want to do in order to provide a holistic solution to the issue that is that this meeting is about, which is users cannot re-add merge request to a merge train when pipeline must succeed is enabled. So right now, a lot of discussion is going on the issue itself. Like there's a constant discussion going on around the proposed solution and what improvements need to be made. But I mean, as we are going ahead in that conversation, we are discovering that there are certain backend capabilities that we need to add, and even the requirements are kind of, I would say, evolving in the conversation itself. So I, we did create another issue to provide an MVC solution first, which is just tweaking the text, which appears like providing users with a better messaging when this problem occurs. So at least they're able to go and run a pipeline from under the pipeline tab and then add the MR back to the merge train when it gets dropped. But it seems like at this stage that is not an ideal way to go about it. And um, the concerns have been recorded in the comments in the issue. And so I just wanted for us to have like another round of discussion, taking into account where we have reached so far, like all the discussions that have already happened, what is the conclusion from that, and how we can take our learnings from there and reconstruct our path forward. So in the agenda, I have like just put the problem statement so that we have that in our at the top of our mind before we like talk about anything else. And the main questions that we would want to be looking at today, the first one is that what are the backend capabilities required to achieve a solution for this problem? And where we are today, like at this point, how prepared are we and how much time is it going to take? And what could be an ideal MVC solution for this problem? All right, so I mean, Fabio is the best person to start off.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think the backend today can't provide this information. We already provide this in the serializer. Now I'm not sure. Like this question for Peyton, are we still using the REST endpoint at this point? And this part of the merge request widget, or did we switch to GraphQL? But I'm not sure what is supported by GraphQL. Whether so, what the thing we need is the pipeline status, and we definitely have that because we are displaying it already. And the other thing the data we need is the pipeline merge request event, which could be empty if the pipeline is not for merge request, could be merge train, could be merge request, could be detached merge request. So we have to use this data to distinguish whether is the pipeline that we're seeing in the widget a merge request pipeline, then it means it's a user triggered pipeline and we should do whatever we do today. But if it's a merge request pipeline, we need then to display the react to merge train button and adjust the messaging depending whether the pipeline is failed or canceled. But we do need this data point of whether the latest pipeline is a merge request pipeline, because we currently provide this in the serializer from backend to frontend, but I'm not sure whether the frontend is still using the same endpoint.
Yeah, so my context isn't the best right now around merge request widgets, but I've been this is my first time working on it, and the same with merge trains. But I did a little bit of digging through the code, and it seems that we do now have GraphQL, and that's we have the legacy version that's using the REST endpoint. And then we have the feature flag, which I posted a link in the agenda. So we actually, I need to check the state of that feature flag to see if it's on or not. But yes, it seems that all of this is moving towards GraphQL. And if I had to guess, I think that this is in production right now using GraphQL, if I had to guess. But I can check.
So I think then the GraphQL state of the data does display the status, but might not display the merge request event type. So in that case, there might be like a backend, small backend merge request that simply add this this attribute, and then frontend might use this data to switch between. The only thing we really need is if it's merge request. Sorry, if it's merge train pipeline, we need to use this new strategy that this kind of new solution we are discussing. Otherwise, we just leave behavior as it was before. Ideally, all this behavior should come from the backend, like what action the user can perform and what message should be displayed. And then front end should be able to take the action, the name of the action. If the action says add to merge request, you display the button add to merge request. All this logic should come from the backend because it's business logic. But I think if we want to go all the way through implementing this in the backend, it's going to take a lot of effort. And we just need to take this in consideration, whether we want to wait more and have this feature fully implemented in the backend and simplify, or it seems like it's like a small step if we do it in the front end now, but we need to open, I think, technical debt issue to revisit this, eventually kind of move back to the backend, as well as a lot of logic that I think, Peyton, we discussed in the past. A lot of logic might need to be moved to the backend, but
yeah,
maybe that could be an excuse to start moving stuff back to the backend.
Yeah, totally agree. It just feels like we're slapping more technical debt on this area, but to get the MVC done, we might want to do that. But if anything, we could abstract the CI related logic to the back end and maybe set a roadmap for the rest of the domains to hopefully follow suit. So to kind of give me some context, we have to look into the GraphQL part a little bit more after this call. But so like right now, the behavior that users are like upset about, I guess, is that is it when a merge train pipeline fails, or if it's accidentally removed, or is it the same?
I think it's about when it is dropped from, like when they accidentally remove it and they are not able to add it back.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the most common behavior.
Okay, so that's if a user clicks accidentally in the widget, like remove from merge train. Is that right?
Yeah, or you cancel
that's right.
pipeline. Yeah. Or I think the most common scenario is when you put the merge request on the train, but a pipeline, another merge request that was on the train but on a previous position, if that fails, everything else after that, all the merge requests are dropped from the train. Well, not kind of dropped. It's not the actual term, but it's we restart a new pipeline. Mm-hmm. So the pipeline that was running is canceled automatically, and a new one is created because the merge train is rebuilt. So this is the reason why users were looking at the retry button, because it's like when that pipeline fails with a flaky test, for example, and you just want to retry, if that passes, then it gets merged. But because it can't be retried, we are considering the latest pipeline like a merge request pipeline. And if the merge request pipeline is failed or is canceled, basically it's non-successful. you cannot merge it because the pipeline must succeed project setting is enabled. So because we are looking at the merge train pipeline like it was triggered by the user with a git push, for example, we are telling the user, no, you cannot continue because this pipeline is not successful. But the user is telling us, but this pipeline is created by the system, it's not created by me. This is the reason why I think we need to distinguish based on the pipeline event type that tells us this is actually merge request pipeline. So it's actually system created merge request, something automatic is not created by the user. So if the user arrived to the point of creating a merge request, a merge train pipeline, it means that the merge request, the latest pipeline for a merge request was successful because we allowed basically to be merged and to be added to the merge train. I'm not sure like if this is clear.
Yeah. So pretty much we can have a latest pipeline that's either merge result or merge train, right? But if the latest pipeline is a merge train and it fails, then we're treating it like it was a merge result pipeline. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This is the reason why they have to go run a new pipeline. And when that passes, they can actually add it to the merge train because when the pipeline is successful, we allow it to be added to the merge train. But it's actually the successful pipeline is already a merge train pipeline. So this is why it does not make sense, the current one.
Yeah, because I was looking at the logic and the current implementation logic is determining if we display the state of, hey, this pipeline's failed no matter what. It just takes the latest pipeline's data and see if the status is failed or canceled.
Yes.
So if you accidentally remove a merge train from a merge request from the train, it's automatically canceled, by implementation. So we're automatically going to show that right now. So the proposal then is to have some bit of data on that's sending back for every pipeline to like introduce some new logic that says, okay, let's introduce some new state. This is a merge train pipeline. It's the latest pipeline. It failed, but let's not display the pipeline failed. Let's display whatever logic we want to display based on that. Is that right?
Yes. But
okay.
if the pipeline is not for merge train, we default to the existing behavior.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah.
You need to have a logic that takes precedence on top of that, of the existing behavior.
Okay. From what I know now, then this was never taken into consideration, like with the code that I'm seeing. So we'll definitely not be, I don't think we'll be tweaking any of the logic, maybe a little bit, but we'll be introducing some new logic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So there is a table. So if you look at the we linked the recent discussions. This is, in the issue. There's the latest comment there on the issue. Like I provided a table there to basically describe the use cases. So depending on the pipeline event, on the pipeline status, what could be the button and what could be the message. So we need to. So the point is that we need to take two different decisions. One in which button we have to use, another one is which message we have to use.
Right.
So when the merge train pipeline is either failed or canceled, we have to display the add to merge train. But the message might be different, right? So if it's canceled, it's the only thing the user can do is to re-add the merge the merge request to the merge train.
Got it. And Fabio, I just wanted to confirm, like, as of today, are we able to differentiate canceled from failed?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, so the thing is, like, if it's not a merge request, a merge train pipeline, so for example, merge result pipeline, in this case, whether it's failed or canceled, we treat it the same way because that's the logic. And I think this is still valid if it's a merge request pipeline. But if it's a merge train, in both cases, we still have to display the add to merge button, but the messaging might be different because a failure could be caused by something wrong in the source branch or something
That's
wrong
true.
in the target branch. Sometimes if it's something wrong in the target branch, it's like there's a failure of master, for example, and you get some failing tests because there is a failure of master. But if you restart the pipeline or restart a new pipeline after the bug has been fixed of master, then that doesn't show anymore in your merge result and the pipeline is passed. So a failure might mean that you have to change something in the code or you just need to re-add it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I was under the impression that we are not able to differentiate. So, I mean, if this is possible, then the MVC solution can very well be like providing two different messages for failed and canceled,
Yeah,
and everything else. Yeah.
yeah, I think we could provide, we could even provide the same message for both failed and canceled, you know, but I think if you could distinguish, I think it will be even clearer for the user what they have to do.
Right. So, so far, I did not propose to have different messages because I did not know that there is a we
Yeah.
have this capability to uh, provide both. But this is good. And now I'm just wondering, like, what else is required on the backend side if this is already available? What else is what we need on the backend side? I think for front end, we just had a discussion, and like that's pretty much sorted.
I think what might be missing is the pipeline event. So the first column, whether it's a merge train pipeline or merge request pipeline, the GraphQL that the front end uses might be missing this data. So we will not be able to distinguish it between the merge train versus merge request pipeline. And this is important.
Oh. Okay, so this is something that's not happening today.
No, it's not happening. No, we have to add this from the backend.
All right. So once that is, so if we put things in sequence, that means first we'll have to work on pipeline events, and then we can think about creating a solution. I mean, it's pretty easy. It's going to be a very like simple messages, but for that we need to build this capability first and then work on that.
Yeah, because otherwise we're going to treat a merge train pipeline like a merge result pipeline. And this is the problem we have today.
Right, yeah, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
On the,
okay.
When you're designing the messages, Vitika, you're going to put it in that other issue for UI instructions?
I need to understand, like, I need to go through that again, Tara, because I mean, how that issue was created, that was to make very small changes to the existing message that is displayed today. And that's not what we are doing now. What we are, like, the path that we are taking now is to provide a proper solution.
Yeah.
And it,
in which case, we probably don't want to pursue both issues. It may be, yes. I think the second issue was the thought that we could do something quickly, but I don't think, if anything, that might create tech debt, that we just need to do the full solution. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if we want to only change the message, it means we need to tell the user if this pipeline is a merge train pipeline, you can react to the train by using the /merge quick action, or otherwise you have to. So if it's not a merge request pipeline, a merge train pipeline, you can fix it by pushing a commit, for example. So it means having wording and telling the user to distinguish whether the pipeline we are showing is a merge request.
Gotcha. Yeah. Until we have
understand that.
Gotcha. Until the backend can do it, we kind of have to explain all of the possible actions based on all these different scenarios.
Yeah.
Sounds super verbose too.
But what I'm thinking is we can definitely have that workaround documented in the docs.
Yeah.
That the /merge actually fixes this problem. but we are not putting it on the UI so that, I mean, if we put it on the UI, we'll have to give a very long explanation, or like we would have to guide the users around like identifying if this was a merge train pipeline versus if it was not. And I don't know how that is going to pan out.
So maybe the message could be, depending on whether you have a merge train pipeline or a merge request pipeline, the various actions you can take is here, and then they go to the docs.
Yes, that would be better.
We should though be able to differentiate what they're doing after the backend is in place. Like we'll be able to say, okay, this user's on a merge train pipeline, they need help with this, or they're on a merge result pipeline. So we could have we could have dedicated messages.
Yeah. Until we have that though, Peyton, I'm guessing that the work to both distinguish the pipeline event and implement the front end of the behavior of the button and the message is probably not all of it going to be able to deliver in 13.9, in which case we may still want to have that stopgap UI instruction update issue, Vitika, just to say, there's different actions you can take depending on the type of pipeline it is. And here's where you go to find out what to do. And then we'll improve on that. So there is still value in just pursuing that to get it out in 13.9.
And additionally, I'm thinking that I will also have to create a docs issue so that Marcel is able to create something like in the documentation. Yeah.
Well, depends. Sometimes we can check with Marcel. It's nice to do the documentation as part of the issue so that they go out together. So that his MR is part of the issue to update the UI instructions.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah.
If we go with on this road, is the user able to visually differentiate between a merge request pipeline and a merge train pipeline?
Like in the widget, or like in say like the pipelines tab?
Even the pipelines tab. I know that we have an issue where I think Marcel suggested that whether we could display like a label merge train beside each pipeline, so at least you can visually see that, because it's triggered by the same user.
I don't think we do, because the first time I started like messing around with this a few weeks ago, like creating merge train pipelines, I was super confused when I went to the pipelines tab, because I was like, wait, which pipeline was it? But the only way I could differentiate it is because I knew how many stages I had in each pipeline. So I was like, okay, this is the one.
So in that case, if we just go for changing the message, and is the user able to understand, okay, this is a merge request pipeline versus this is not, like
this was the exact reason I was skeptic, because so what I was thinking was that we'll have to provide users some cues about identifying which pipeline that was, and that's pretty tough.
Did Fabio, you mentioned that there was an issue that Marcel opened to add the labels. Was it a comment or an actual issue? Do you know?
I think Fabio froze.
Oh. Vitika, what I'm thinking is maybe for 13.9, we pursue the UI instruction update and the issue to label the pipelines. And then the long-term solution, I move out to 13.10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
but I got to find that issue.
So, so for the first iteration, we're not worrying about any logic of like what buttons to display. We're just saying, hey, let's update the standard message that showed for merge result pipelines and merge train pipelines. Is that right?
I think so. So depending on, the message would be something like, depending on the type of pipeline you have, go to the docs to know what your possible actions are. And then that would just, that would be the I don't even want to call it the MVC. That's just like the stopgaps. solution.
Yeah. I mean, I could do that today. That's super easy, but just changing some text around. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we'll focus on more of the implementing the like actual solution.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is the back end work to differentiate between the pipeline events. Okay. And then dynamically based on that and based on whether it's a failed or canceled, all of that determines the button behavior and the message. Yeah.
Okay.
So what I was suggesting is we still move forward with the UI instruction, just the text update in 13.9, along with another issue to label the pipelines, whether it's a merge train pipeline or other. Not the word other, but I'll let Vitika come up with that. So, and maybe we clearly also call it out when it's a merge results pipeline and just a merge request pipeline. I'm Fabio left and I have to run to another meeting. Let me follow up with a question for him. Let me see if I can find that issue. But Vitika, know that the long-term solution I moved to 13.10. And so you'll have to design both for that issue of how to label the pipelines and then the text of the UI instructions we want to update for 13.9.
Got it.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
But I'll do some of that after my next meeting, rearranging them.
Okay.
Thanks, folks.
And
thanks, Tom.
One question. I was just the only thing I don't know what she was talking about with the label is like if we have the back end in place, to say that this is a merge request pipeline. That's not merge request, merge train, whatever you call it. I don't know if he said it was in REST, but not GraphQL, so I'm not 100% sure. So that's something we'll have to check before, like we say, okay, 13.9, we'll slap a label on it.
Okay, and I'm not exactly sure what issue that was to identify the different kinds of pipeline, but does that mean we also have to identify between pipeline for merge request versus pipeline for merge results? I mean, all three different kinds.
Yeah, that's kind of tricky. Like for me, like personally, like it would be like I already know what my main pipeline is, but like if it's a merge request pipeline, merge train pipeline, like I would want to know that. But
right now, the identifier is, I think, that label that says detached, which is placed.
Yeah, that's true.
That means we are able to know if it's a merge request or merge result pipeline. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think so. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for putting this together.
Great. Thanks for coming up with so much of information for me to look into.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Have a good rest of your day, night.
Have a good day. Bye.